everyone, Piano Man Chuck here, and I'm here today with the Casio CTX-5000. Now, this is the brand new line from Casio. The CTX series, they're all 61 keys, and they all have built-in amp and speakers with varying degrees of power, depending on which model you get. And this is the first to use that whole series. The CTX series is the first to use their powerful brand new processor. It's the AIX sound chip, and it's very powerful. So I think you're going to start seeing more products coming out with Casio that use that particular sound chip. But for now, it's limited to the CTX line. Now, there's 4 CTX models, as you already know, the 700 and the 800, which are pretty much identical, but the 700 is for people that just want to turn it on and play, no matter where they are, at a beach or plugged into the wall in your kitchen or whatever. The 800 is like the 700, but you can put a USB thumb drive into it, and now you can start recording yourself. So if you're on the beach and come up with something great, you can record it. That's cool. All 4 of these CTX units can hook up to your computer, so not a problem there. Any of these can be used as a controller to some of the virtual sound modules that you can buy for your computer. Now, the 2 top of the line here is the CTX-3000 and the 5000. And we're going to go over what some of those differences are, as well as why I chose the 5000 over the 3000. Now, the biggest difference that most of you are noticing is that the CTX 5000 is the only one in the CTX line that does not run on batteries. Well, they all run on a power adapter, that an AC adapter that you plug into the wall. They all come with that. But the 5000 does not. And the reason for that is it uses a much more powerful amplifier and speakers to give you 30 watts of power, 15 on each side. And that's RMS power, so you're doing pretty good there. Because of that, it needs wall outlet power, or AC power, not batteries. The 3000 only gives you 12 watts of power, 6 watts on each side, which is good for a lot of situations where you're by yourself or maybe a small group of people, depending on where that group is. If you're indoors, of course, the sound is going to carry better than if you're outdoors. So, most people are basing that decision on portability. I want to be able to play this anywhere. Whereas with the 5000, you're limited to an AC power supply. Now, I know there's those of you out there that think, oh, yeah, well, you can hook up something like a RAV power DC power supply or unit that you can take with you and power this, right? No. Unfortunately, another difference between the two is the 3000 uses a 12-volt DC power source, and the 5000 uses 24 volts DC. Because of that, and because of the higher amperage draw from the wall, RAV Power or Bix Power or any of those other companies that produce these little power supplies that you can power your DC instruments with, it's not going to work. All right, now I have a way around that. It's pricey. It's $149, but it's a way to power this, and I'll put that up in a separate video. So let's get started with all the differences now. And by the way, because I have that alternative available to me to power this, that's another reason I decided to go with this, because I wanted the extra power, and there's a few extra things that I also wanted on here that the 3000 does not offer. So let's start going over the differences right now. All right, now the 3000, first let me go with weights. The 3000 weighs 15.2 pounds, while the 5000 weighs 15.4 pounds. Not much of a difference. And in kilograms, that's basically 6.9 versus 7 kilograms. All right. Those weights on the 3000 are without batteries. Now it uses D batteries. D batteries are the biggest ones of the whole 1.5 volt round tubular series, so they weigh quite a bit. So when you add 6 batteries or something like that, you're adding a lot of weight. Now it weighs a lot more than the 5000. Let's start off with some. We're going to go through the differences, and when I come to a difference that made a big decision in me going with the 5000 over the 3000, I'll point that out. Now, you can have 50 user rhythms. That means you create your own rhythms or save them in your own user registration or storage locations. 50 of those on the 3000. And on the 5000, you have 100 of those. Now, another big difference, especially if you're going to be performing live, is if you look over here in this section, you got that on the 3000 as well. You do not have this section on the 3000. Why is that important? Well, I'm hitting category right now. I'm in the piano category. If I hit it again, I go to electric piano. If I hit it again, I go to the next category, organ. Well, let's say I want to go over to pads. Watch how many times I have to hit this to get to the pads category. There we go. I'm finally in the pad category. Now, for the tones in there, now I can finally choose what I want by using this jog wheel. Anyway, over here on this side, which you don't have on the 3000, if I want the piano category, I'm in it just by hitting piano. If I want organs, I just hit organs. And now I got organs. And from there I can choose which particular organ I want, just like the 3000. So when I want to get to pads, you saw how much times I had to press that category button to get to the pad category. Well, over here, I basically just hit it once. And if I want to get to pipes, all right, cool. Let's get back to piano. Since this is not about demonstrating songs in this video or sounds. Instead, this is to go through the differences. So this is more of a narrative video than showing you sounds and stuff. All right, next off, there are no line outputs on the CTX-3000. This has your standard left and right line outs. Now, why is that important? Well, first of all, the line outs, you can go directly into a recorder or your audio interface or a mixer or whatever. Because you don't have that on the 3000, you are kind of forced to use the headphone jack to give you the same equivalent. Okay? Now, when you plug in a headphone jack, the speakers shut off. Now, there is a way in the menu on both of these to keep the speakers on when you have the jack in there. But here's the problem. When you're live, usually when you have a keyboard and you're live with a band, you're going to feed them basically a mono mix, not stereo. So your left and right line outs are going to give you a stereo signal, just like a headphone jack would in one thing. But to get mono, you basically hook up a 1/4-inch cable to the left only, which gives you a summary of the mixed left and right as a mono output. And you feed that to your sound guy or your front of house or whatever. If you're doing that with the 3000, you're basically giving them a stereo signal. And if you're using a 1/4-inch jack that's not TRS, it's just TS, you're only giving them half of your signal, just the left part. So that's a big consideration right there. The other thing is this has a mic input, which is super cool. You plug in your mic and you can hear it through your speakers here too, and it can become part of your mix. I mean, this has a recorder too, so that's part of that. And you can also feed that through the system effects here if you want to. That's a pretty cool thing as well. Now, they both have pitch bend, but the 3000 does not have modulation. So this has a modulation button, not a wheel, but a button. The 3000 doesn't have that. So, see, I'm playing something right now, and if I hold this down, I got modulation. And you don't have that on a 3000, but in addition to this mod button, it's assignable. You can program it to do other things if that's what you want. Don't have that on the 3000. These registration buttons here, the cool thing is when you're performing, it's really good to know which of these registration buttons you press to get to whatever memory location that you were looking for. And yeah, you can see it on the screen. I mean, it's tiny, but over here, you can see I pressed 4. It's backlit. I know 4 is pressed. I don't have to go and look for it on the screen, which could be to take some time to find it on the screen if you're not used to it. And if you're performing, you're going to be looking at it like that rather than you could just see that the light is on registration 7. Boy, the pianos here are to die for. They're really good. The Casio did a good job with those. Now, as far as EQ, equalization, they both have 10 presets, but with the 5000, you also have 4-band user EQ available to you. You don't have that in the 3000. And as far as the system effects, here's the layout for that. The 3000 has 24 reverb effects, while the 5000 has 32. There's 12 chorus effects in the 3000. There's 16 in the 5000. There's 15 delays delay effects in the 3000, and there's 20 in the 5000. So basically, for those that they like to control their own effects to some point, it may not make much of a difference to somebody like that, but for somebody who's going to use this and create a studio recording or whatever, it makes the difference. You might just find that perfect reverb or that perfect chorus on one of the settings that you don't have available to you on the 3000. So basically, that's pretty much the differences between the 3000 and the 5000. And again, let me just summarize why I chose the 5000 over the 3000, despite the fact that I could not use this with batteries. And again, like I promised earlier, I'll show you how to use this without an AC mains outlet available to you. But besides that, the differences are I absolutely have to have line outputs. And the fact that you can just use the left 1/4 inch line out for a summarized mono thing, that makes it so much better if you're the keyboard guy in a band, because stereo usually doesn't cut it on a keyboard when you're with a band unless it's a special situation and you have special ways of handling that kind of thing. Or if you're a solo keyboardist, then probably you'll want a stereo amp or something like that or whatever, but it's so much better to have that mono line out summary available to you. Okay? And again, the mic inputs, that's another important thing. So you don't have that on the 3000, but the ability to have a mic input on there, that helps out a lot. And the ability to go through the system effects with it, that's another advantage. The backlit registration, that's for performance. I like to have that. When you're performing, it's so much easier to just glance and see where you're at rather than go to the screen and look around to see where you're at. And the mod button, even though I may not use modulation at all, the fact that it's assignable or programmable, that makes it attractive to me because I can use it with something else. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you also have a expression pedal input. So if you have a CC or a continuous controller pedal input, you can use that with this. And the additional effects, small amount of additional effects, but the additional effects that are there can make a big difference if you're using this for a studio recording. So that's basically it. The differences between the CTX-3000 and the 5000 and why I chose the 5000 for me personally. Hope this has helped you out. Piano Man Chuck. Peace out. Thanks for watching.